Hello, I'm Adrian Clarke and welcome to the breakdown. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas. You might notice I took a short break from the channel, missed a couple of Arsenal victories, but I'm pleased to say I'm back to analyse what was a quite colossal 4-1 success at home to in-form Aston Villa. A statement second half performance did the damage, of course, and I think it's reinstalled Arsenal's position really as the team to beat this season. It was very important, I think, for Mikel Arteta's players, for Mikel himself, and certainly for us, the supporters, for the team to take a scalp. I mean, prior to that game, Arsenal, the only team in the top seven that we'd beaten was Manchester United on the opening weekend. So this was big. And obviously the nature of it, I think, will give the team massive confidence moving forward. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the analysis, we've got some player ratings to come later on in the show. I want to start with some interesting stats. And the first one is around Arsenal's athleticism and industry in the game. Arsenal ran 7.78 kilometres further than Aston Villa in this match. Now, I was at the game. It was a very fast-paced match early on in the game. And then Arsenal got stronger and stronger and stronger. And Villa absolutely wilted. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Arsenal's aggressive approach wore them down. And by the end, they were well beaten. But that is a heck of a big difference in terms of the distance covered. Arsenal also made 334 more intensive runs than Aston Villa. Zubimendi and Ødegaard were the top runners in terms of the distance covered. Both covered over 11k. So that was interesting. In terms of the XG, 3.04 XG. It was the second best from Arsenal this season after the Brighton game, which was obviously the match before, where the victory was very narrow, but Arsenal certainly created a lot of chances. That's still top. This was second. So was the shot count. 22 shots in this game, second only to the Brighton match. And an interesting aspect of the game from a possession point of view is that in the first half, Villa low blocked us a little bit. I think we had 53% possession or just over. So they wanted to sit back in their shape and frustrate us and break on the counter, which they did very well. In the second half, this is really interesting, Arsenal only had 39.4% of the ball. Now, some of that was late on when Villa were chasing, but even so, I think we were happier to let them have the ball so that we could go and hunt for it and turn the ball over. And of course, we did that to brilliant effect in the game. This was an excellent performance, particularly in the second half, because in the first half it was a little bit of a tough watch at first. I think the story of the match was really about our bravery, about our aggression, and really our willingness to risk leaving our defenders 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 or 3-on-3. And we did that by pressing. And obviously we got it right in the second half of the game. But I want to show you first up the defensive chalkboard for Arsenal in this match. Here it is. As you can see, we're kicking from left to right. That's a lot of possession won inside the opposition half. Look at that. That is, trust me, that is an awful lot of times that we've won tackles, we've won interceptions, ball recoveries. The midfield unit was terrific at squeezing Aston Villa and smothering them and suffocating them and ultimately at winning the ball back. So well done to all involved. Just to give you some context, I'm going to show you Aston Villa's defensive chalkboard now. Here you go. And as you can see, just 3 times they won the ball in our half. So they're kicking from right to left. So there's a big old difference there. And look, what was the big catalyst? Well, I think in the first half, 2 of our midfielders went. Ødegaard and Zubimendi, or Ødegaard and Marino, and Zubimendi, the other one, would sort of stay put at the back. And that allowed Villa to play through us a little bit easier. In the second half, all 3 went at the same time. And it was a risky policy, but it paid off. And I think Ødegaard was the trigger. He was much more aggressive. He was much more hostile in the second half. Here is his defensive chalkboard map. And here you go. Yeah, it's very, very good in terms of tackles, interceptions, ball recoveries. And look at the areas right in the middle of the pitch. And that is what you want from your number 10. You want great creativity, but you also want ball winning quality. And that's what Martin Ødegaard provided here. All but one of those defensive contributions came in the second half. Let's miss out the first goal. We'll get to that in a bit and talk about the second, because it comes via a counter press. We lose the ball, and then we instantly go on the hunt for it. And I think Mikel Arteta deserves a sort of nominal assist for this one, because he was the one on the touchline, right in front of him, demanding that Arsenal go and press and hunt with real determination. When the gaffer's 5 yards away, you do what you're told. And so let's have a quick look at a freeze frame here. As you can see, Mikel Arteta has come to the edge of his technical area to tell Nketiah to get tight, and he's urging the boys to really get in the faces of Villa. You can see the midfield three are pushed on, they're squeezed together to limit that quality supply into the forward players. We made the pitch feel very small, and you can see that here as we slide it on from that same passage of play. It's, Zubi's tight, Marino's tight, and then Ødegaard, who's the deepest for some reason, goes and steals the ball off Jadon Sancho. It's a brilliant piece of play from all three midfielders. They're really hunted, and Arteta's been on them to do that. Now let's flip it forward. Obviously, Ødegaard then races forward towards the edge of the box. So here we are. You can freeze frame it here. And initially, they've got it covered, haven't they? Tielemans has blocked it. The two centre-backs are worried about Gyökeres and about Saka, are both narrow. So Tielemans has got a big job to do. And as we look at it there, he's covered it. He's blocked it, even though Zubimendi's made a great run. What happens next is that Ødegaard takes a little step and dummies. He throws a shoulder, which is quite magnificent. And it completely does Tielemans, as you can see here. He's bought that dummy, and then the avenue for the pass opens up, and he slides it. It's a perfectly weighted ball for Zubimendi. The run is fantastic. And then look at the finish here. Look at the way that Emi Martinez has spread his body. He's done the splits. That left leg is outstretched as far as it can. There is not a lot of the goal to aim at, but Martin Zubimendi finds the bottom corner with aplomb. So yeah, it was a brilliant goal, and it's a very Arteta goal, because it contains great aggression and teamwork and pressing, but then it also requires high levels of technical ability and drive from Ødegaard and Zubimendi to go and punish Aston Villa, which is exactly what they did. Let's have another look at something else in regards to the midfield squeeze, because this for me was the big part of the game. We really did make a difference in the second half. We denied Villa the opportunity to provide quality passes into Rodgers, into Watkins, into Marlon, whoever was up there, by going together. And it was a risky ploy, but it worked fantastically. Here you go. This is an instance where Ødegaard ended up having a shot, actually. You can see the three midfielders all very, very tight together. Zubimendi goes and wins the balls. They play it into midfield. Zubimendi goes and wins it. And look behind Zubimendi. We've left ourselves 2-on-2, but it's a risk that they're willing to take. And as we wind it on, the midfield three are all very in close proximity. You see Zubimendi to Marino to Ødegaard. He runs on and draws a save from Emi Martinez. A full stretch save, actually. It was a really good stop from the former Arsenal man. So that was a big change from us in the second half. What we saw throughout the match was also bravery in terms of going bodies forward. Now, if I was in charge, I might have been a bit more circumspect and been a bit more cautious because of what happened at Villa Park, because Villa are so dangerous from turnovers and transitions. But Mikel Arteta was happy to go for it, and I'm so glad that he did, because it paid off. You can see here for the Trossard goal, the Ødegaard puts the ball in, doesn't he? I think initially, and Nketiah does, and Ødegaard does as well. So let's have a look at how many bodies we got forward here. It's quite astonishing. Every outfielder, aside from the two centre backs, Gabriel and Saliba, are in and around the box. We are smothering Villa. We're suffocating them. So as the ball comes in, it comes half out. Timber is in a position where he can go and win the ball. You can see that. Just lays it off to Trossard, who whips it into the bottom corner. So that bravery is really, really rewarded, because we've put everyone forward in order to put it in the box to win those second balls, and it's paid off. Now, in the first half, there's a great example of how something very, very similar didn't pay off. So let's take a quick look at that. Ball comes in from Ødegaard to Trossard. It's a great cross, actually. He's on the volley, and it gets blocked. We've got 7 forward rather than 8 outfielders in this example. But what happens is the ball falls to Villa, and Onana and a gap opens up and he speeds down the middle of the pitch. You'll all remember this, I'm sure. Gyökeres ends up being the one that follows him. He goes through Ødegaard and Hincapié. Hincapié's worried about his man. Ødegaard just hasn't got the legs to keep up with Onana, and they stride up the pitch. So that's the risk and reward, isn't it? So we've seen the reward, and that is the risk. But in this match, Mikel Arteta thought that was a gamble worth taking, and he was proved absolutely right. I mean, it was a tough watch in the first half at times. Villa caused Arsenal a lot of problems. So I think it's worth just touching on some of those issues and what happened. This is a good example. This is where Tielemans released Morgan Rogers down the middle, and you might be thinking, how on earth did that happen? Well, let's have a look now. So the ball goes from Martinez to Tielemans, and Zubimendi, who pressed brilliantly in the second half, is just a bit slow getting there. Okay, so he doesn't put enough pressure on the man on the ball, so he can look up and he can play whatever pass he wants. There you'll see Marino has gone deep. So in the second half, Marino would have been much higher. The three of them would have been up there. And we'd have left ourselves maybe 3v3. We don't. Gabriel's spare. And Gabriel's ball watching. A little bit of rustiness maybe there. And what it is that Rodgers just does a dummy on Marino. And he's quicker than Marino. And he makes a great run down the middle. And he's played in. And it was a really, worrying moment for Arsenal. But thankfully, we got away with it. The recovery runs were terrific. Here's another example where maybe Hincapié gets a little bit over-eager. He gets done, a little bit like Marino, by a run. This time it's from Sancho, where he comes short and then he spins in behind. So here we go. The ball goes into Onana in the wide channel. And again, we're just a little bit off it. We can't quite get there to put enough pressure. There is pressure, but he's still got time to look up and play that pass. Here, Gabriel, again, it's a little bit rusty. He's probably looking at Rodgers. He's thinking, right, do I go in tight to Rodgers or not, or do I stay put? And basically, there's too big a gap that's left between himself and Hincapié, and they play it into Sancho. The flag went up in the end, didn't it, for this? But you might remember, Saliba made an unbelievable recovery tackle to make sure that Sancho's pass to Watkins didn't reach its intended target. So that might have been looked at by VAR, and he could well have been onside. So that was a really important intervention. But again, that's where you leave yourself one-on-one at the back, and you don't have too much wriggle room, and you don't get the press right. A team like Villa will absolutely open you up. What they also did was let us have the ball, let's have more of it, in the hope of forcing those turnovers. This is a great example, wasn't it? Where the ball from Gabriel goes into Gyökeres and he's not strong enough. He doesn't hold the ball, he doesn't back in, and Ezri Konsa wins it off of him and then strides forward, and it's a very dangerous situation. He slides in Ollie Watkins, and as you can see, the finish is really poor, isn't it? It comes off the sort of back of his foot and goes wide in the end. So that was a real let off for Arsenal. In that first half, we did okay. I think there was not a lot down the right via Timber and Saka. They didn't quite look themselves. I think down the left, we really did target them. Obviously, they had Lamar Bogard, who's a central midfielder, play it right back because Matty Cash was injured. And I think we deliberately targeted that side, and we did have quite a lot of joy down that flank. This is a good example, actually. I want to show you here of how we isolated Leandro Trossard. So as you can see, Gabriel's got the ball, but I've circled there Hincapié in that very advanced forward position. So he's occupying the right back, which means that Jadon Sancho has to get back and look after Trossard in the 1v1, and that's a duel that Trossard wants all day long, because Jadon Sancho is a forward, and I played in that position, and in 1v1s I wasn't super comfortable. So Trossard takes him on, he whips the ball in, and you'll remember this chance from Gyökeres. It's great movement actually from Victor. He starts on Lindelof, and then at the last moment darts across Ezri Konsa and gets his head to the ball. It's a good ball in, it's a good header, and he's unlucky not to find the target. So that was one of three shots from Victor Gyökeres. He didn't really get that involved, but did manage to get some efforts away at least. So yeah, down that left-hand side, we tried to isolate Trossard with Sancho, and I think it worked quite well, but that first half performance pales into insignificance, really, when you look at what we did in the second, where everybody in the team were magnificent. As for the goals, I mean, you don't need me to show you the goal from Gabriel. The corner's a great one from Saka. I think that Martinez gets preoccupied. He goes and pushes Tielemans and Gabriel actually to give himself space. And then he doesn't time his jump right. He gets up too early and he doesn't like the pressure or the presence of Gabriel Magalhaes. And it's absolutely awful goalkeeping, isn't it? And he just sort of, it comes off Gabriel and goes in. So, that's the difference that the big man makes from corners. Set piece FC did it again. You've seen goals 2 and 3 already, haven't you, from the guys, from Zubimendi and Trossard. So let's have a look at 4, which was a beautiful move. You might not realise this at the time. I'm sure some of you did. But it starts at the back. David Raya was involved in the move initially. But we'll look at it here. Hincapié plays a really brave little clip pass to break the press for Ødegaard, who's the spare man. He flicks it on to Zubimendi, and then he wins that duel, doesn't he? With the right back, I think it was Garcia at this point, goes past him, and then you see unbelievable drive and fitness and speed from Leandro Trossard to surge up the pitch. And of course, he squares it at the right time for Gabriel Jesus, who with his first touch controls it, and with his second, after coming off the bench, he whips it into that far corner. It was a gorgeous team goal, and a goal that again, I think typifies Arsenal. We are a brave team. We will draw teams onto us to then play through them. We back ourselves. And for us supporters, it's tough to watch at times because you're watching through your hands, aren't you? But the team were very, very calm. And I've been saying this for weeks. The team are calmer probably than us, the supporters. So I think we should credit them here. This was a big game. They were under a lot of pressure and they held their nerve big style. And they stuck to the game plan. And that game plan, they just did the game plan infinitely better in the second half by pressing a little bit higher up the pitch, and that starved the forwards of Villa of quality service, and it helped us win those turnovers that made the all-important difference. It was terrific. It really was. Let's get to some player ratings, shall we? Right, let's start with David Raya. Obviously, a brilliant save towards the end. I'm not sure how John McGinn missed it. He's sort of got an open goal, hasn't he? And he hits it to Raya, but it was a ridiculous save. But again, calm presence. Did ever so well. His distribution was terrific. Didn't have a lot to do, did he, in truth? So I go for a 7. Jurriën Timber, I think, was quiet, very quiet by his standards in the first half, but he definitely came to the party in the second. He obviously got that assist, which was brilliant. He even had the most touches in the opposition box, 8 during the game. So he really did sort of step on the gas in the second half. I'm going to give him a 7 because I thought in this first half he was more of a 6. Saliba for me was the pick of the guys at the back. I'm going to give him an 8. That intervention was class. I remember it was his long pass to Gyökeres as well. Gyökeres did well to sort of link it and put Timber down the line. We win the corner, we score from that corner. So Saliba's distribution was really important. So he gets an 8. Gabriel 7. I've pointed out 1 or 2 little minor mistakes, but he did score. And it was brilliant to have him back, especially with no Declan Rice in the starting 11. We needed that leadership, that steel. So definite 7 for him. Hincapié is a steady 7. Did well, made some good interventions, but maybe not a total standout. Zubimendi for me is an absolute nailed on 8, maybe more of an 8.5 really. He was fantastic, particularly in the second half, and that goal was a thing of beauty. So yeah, he was one of our star performers for me. Mikel Merino gets a 7. I thought he was good in the role. He made 3 chances. 1 or 2 sort of moments in the first half where his mobility and athleticism was maybe caught him out, but he grew into the game, and obviously once he got that yellow card, I think it was right that we replaced him with Christian Nogel. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 7 because we did have to take him off. Ødegaard is a 9. I think joint main man for me. Got an assist, 5 shots as well in the game, 3 key passes. He made 3 chances, and he also won the ball back for the team more than anybody else. 6 ball recoveries from Martin Ødegaard. It was an inspirational display from him. Fantastic. Bukayo Saka 6. Quiet, wasn't he, by his usual standards? I think they shackled him pretty well. I'm going to give Gyökeres a 6 as well, although I did think he did much better in the second half. I think he was unlucky with the first header because Lindelof jumps in front of him and he kind of has to loop it over him. He can't generate the power. The second one I've showed you was good movement. He also had a shot, didn't he? So he did all right, but I think we can expect more from Victor Gyökeres, so he gets a 6. And then joint main man with Ødegaard has to be Trossard. I think he was brilliant yet again. Great assist, you've just seen it. 4 shots, 3 chances created. He only misplaced 2 passes on the night. He absolutely tormented Aston Villa from beginning to end. I thought he was absolutely outstanding, Leandro Trossard. And look, he delivers goals, he delivers assists. And at the moment, he's the undisputed number 1 when it comes to being our left winger, isn't he? So, yeah, wonderful stuff from him. Subs, 6s across the board, apart from Jesus, who I have to give him an 8, really, don't I? Comes off the bench and scores a really, really good goal. So yeah, well done to all concerned. As for Mikel Arteta, 9. In the first half, I thought that the pattern of the game suited Villa, but he adjusted it a little bit. He urged that midfield to squeeze up. And I applaud his bravery, committing bodies forward, pressing high, because ultimately that's, he who dares wins, and that's what happened in this match. And Mikel Arteta, I think, led from the front on that score, so he gets a 9 from me. Superb from the gaffer. That's it. That is it for 2025. I'll be back, of course, in the new year to look back on the Bournemouth game. Can't wait for that. Hopefully it'll be another big 3 points for the Gunners. So in the meantime, just want to wish you a very happy new year. Best of luck for 2026. I really appreciate you getting on board with this channel, for the likes, for the subscriptions, for all the great comments as well. I love reading them, so please do keep sending them in, and I'll try and get back to as many of you as time permits. So yeah, from me, it's a very happy new year, and I'll see you shortly in 2026.